Okay, so greetings everyone. So here is our first lecture in MS 102 or quantitative methods. So I'm assuming that you have already studied or already taken MS 101 last sem, which is discrete mathematics. So this is just a continuation of that subject. So before we get started, let me first introduce myself. So ako nga pala si Sir Neil B. Montero. The B stands for Bautista. And here is my contact number and my email. If you have any questions regarding our subject, you may contact me through these details. So, hindi nyo ako pwedeng kontakin beyond 5 p.m. and earlier than 8 a.m. Kasi hindi ako magre-reply. Okay, so let's discuss the syllabus. So, for this semester, we will have 5 modules. So, module 1 is just an introduction. So here we will discuss the concept of quantitative methods or techniques, data and data analysis, graphical technique of quantitative methods, descriptive statistics, and the measures of central tendency, all of which is dapat sana na-discuss na or na-cover nyo na sa inyong high school mathematics or other introductory courses. So sa module 2 naman, we will have several statistical tools. Unit 1 hanggang Unit 4 will cover statistical tools. And if we still have time, we will discuss basic advanced mathematics. Okay, so statistical tools 1 will consist of the computation of range, mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation. So lahat naman to sana familiar because na-discuss na dapat to nung high school. In Unit 2, consists of the computation of variance, standard deviation, skewness, Pearson's number 1 coefficients, as well as the number 2 coefficient. So at this point, so third year na kayo, I'm assuming that you can use basic software pagdating sa data analysis or data manipulation, as tulad ng Microsoft Excel, Python, or R. So, it depends on you kung ano yung gusto nyong gamitin. For the Unit 3, Statistical Tools 3, ito yung set theory. So, na-discuss na rin to dapat nung high school. It includes subsets, the number of a set, set equality, up to Venn diagrams, and set enumeration. And then Unit 4, involves the topic probability. Probability, definition, laws, conditional probability, the Bayes theorem, as well as the probability and expected values. Okay, and then module 3, here we'll start applying what we are learning. So sa population versus sample, i-differentiate natin yan, and then correlation analysis. So itong correlation analysis will be a part of our focus. Pag sinabing focus, titignan kasi natin yung relationship ng dalawang variables. For example, you are farming. Does increasing the amount of fertilizer affect the yield? Or yung kita mo, yung ani mo pagdating sa pagtatanim? Nakaka-apekto ba yung amount ng fertilizer? What else? The number of hours study. Nakaka-apekto ba to sa grades ng isang estudyante? So this is what we are going to find out within the semester, as well as with the Unit 3, so simple linear regression, ganun din siya, but we will be tackling relationship of more than 2 variables. So multiple linear regression, Spearman's rank correlation, and so on, so forth. And then module 4, nandyan yung tinatawag natin na Pearson correlation. So all of this can be computed manually, but you can also compute it using a software. Okay? So it's up to you kung ano yung gagamitin nyo. Dito sa module 4 naman, Pearson correlation hanggang analysis of variance, or yung tinatawag natin na ANOVA. And then sa SPSS naman, so ito ay para siyang add-on lang naman siya, ng Microsoft Excel. So, statistical package for social sciences for analysis, as well as time series analysis and forecasting. Dito sa units 4 and 5, sa module 4, parang i-apply na natin yung mga lessons natin, for us to predict the future. Kasi yun naman yung data. Data is, or statistics is not just about computing or gathering data. what's important is that we use it for forecasting, for future use, especially sa mga businesses, sa weather, and so on, so forth. Okay? And dito sa unit module 5 natin, ang laman niya naman ay index numbers, inventory control, hanggang critical path of a project. So dito, I'm not sure if we are going to cover this module 5, pero as for now, optional pa siya, but we'll try to make it okay. So dates to remember, the prelim is on September 18 to 22, midterm is November 13 to 17, and the finals is December 11 to 15. And here's the composition of our grades. So 20% quizzes, homeworks, 10% recitation, and then 40% examination, as well as 10% attendance and values. Okay. So, hindi na tayo magtatagal dahil recorded video ito. So, for the sake of our time and for the sake of your data, we'll start discussing. So, the unit 1 involves the concept of quantitative methods or quantitative techniques. So, learning outcomes, what will we learn with this module? By the end of this unit, you will be able to define the concept of quantitative methods, identify the relevance. So, gaano ba kahalaga yung quantitative methods? Pangatlo, state the tools of quantitative methods and techniques. Alright? So, yung tatlong yan yung mga aaralin natin for this unit. So, quantitative methods techniques can be viewed as a scientific approach to decision making with special emphasis on the quantification rather than the qualification of decision variables. For example, at the end of every semester, ini-evaluate nyo yung mga faculty nyo, tama? Para makita ng ASCOT yung performance nila, kung i-renew ba sila or hindi na. Pero hindi namin kayo pwedeng tanungin lang basta-basta, o kamusta yung pagtuturo ni Sir Ganto? Okay lang po siya. Mabait naman si Sir. Hindi natin pwedeng ibase yung performance nila based on those descriptions only. Kaya importante dito yung part na quantification. Kaya pinaparate namin siya, ang mga faculty sa inyo, from 1 to 5 in order to make a better assumption pagdating sa kanilang performance or better evaluation pagdating sa kanilang performance. And then we will use it, for example, sa decision making. Will we renew them or will we fire them? That is the question. Okay, another example is a patient satisfaction survey can be administered to ask questions like how long a doctor takes to see a patient or how often a patient walks into a hospital and other such questions. So, ilan lamang yan sa mga examples ng quantification of data or variables. Okay, quantitative techniques can be understood as a collection of mathematical and statistical tools that are used to provide powerful means of analysis using quantitative data for effective decision-making. Take note, we want an effective decision-making. For example, in business, hindi tayo basta-basta gagawa ng decision, right? Because business involves money. And when it comes to business, we want to make effective decisions. That is, when we say effective, we want our business to succeed. Gusto natin kumita siya. Tama. Ayaw naman natin ng decisions that may lead to the downfall of our business. Kaya dapat when we say effective, positive ang epekto niya sa ating mga business. For example, this one. So, a farmer will decide, dito sa example na to, a farmer will decide whether or not to irrigate or not to irrigate sa kanyang pananim. And the decision he will make depends on the demand of the crop. So, it's either high, medium, or low. So, there's a 30% chance that the demand for the crop is high, a 45% chance that demand for the crop is medium, and a 25% chance that the crop is low demand. So, in the first scenario, if the farmer does not irrigate, if it is a high demand for the crop, he will gain 9 million, and then 5 million for medium, and then 3 million for low. So, regardless of the irrigation, meron pa rin siyang kikita. Tama? Pero hindi tayo tumitingin dun sa maliit na kita lang when it comes to business. We want to increase our profit. So, we will see here, based on the table, titignan natin kung effective ba yung increasing irrigation. If the farmer purchase a 1.5 horsepower pump, if the demand is high, it will lead to a higher 11 million na in profits. Okay? When the demand is medium, a profit of 6 million. And when the demand is low, the farmer will actually lose 4 million. Malulugi siya ng 4 million. Why? Because the purchase of the pump will actually cost more than what he will make. Kaya nag-negative. Ito yung risk na tinitake natin sa business. There is a chance na malulugi yung business natin. And if you purchase a 3 horsepower pump, the demand is high. Pag mataas yung demand, 16 million yung kita niya. And if the demand is medium, 8 million naman yung kita niya. So, it depends on the demand. So, kung makikita natin dito, I think it would be wise to say that if the demand is low, we should not increase the irrigation power because it will only lead to a negative profit or malulugi yung ating negosyo. Okay? So, hindi naging effective dito. So, akala natin kasi pagdating sa farming, the more we put irrigation, mas malakas yung irrigation. Tama? Mas malaki yung kita. But no, it depends on the crop and it depends on the weather of the environment on which you are planting your crops. So it facilitates the decision-making process by identifying and quantifying the factors that influence your decisions. For example nga, pagdating sa pagtatanim, if you live in near the Cabanatuan area, hindi ka magtatanim ng palay. Tama? Because palay or rice needs irrigation. It needs water. At sa Cabanatuan, madalang yung tubig. So what do they plant instead of rice? They plant onions, which is adequate for the environment. So even that, yung mga variables such as rain, quantify natin. How much rainfall does a certain area in the Philippines receive in that time of year? Okay? Are you getting me? No? Nakadepende dun sa rainfall kung ano yung type of crop na itatanim. Even the amount of fertilizers you use, it will influence your decisions. Kung ano yung magiging epekto sa mga businesses natin. Okay? And what is the relevance? So, gaano ba kahalaga itong quantitative methods? Bakit ba natin kailangan itong aralin? Unang-una, it provides a tool for scientific analysis. Okay? So, these techniques provide executives with a more precise description of the cause and effect relationship and risks underlying the business operations in measurable terms. Okay, when we say cause and effect relationship, titingnan muli natin yung mga variables. For example, in a factory, pag ikaw ay nalulugi, tama, yung Apple for example, yung iPhone, gusto nilang i-increase yung kanilang profit, what will they do? Didadamihan nila yung production ng iPhone. But take note that increasing the production will not necessarily mean an increase in profits. Bakit? Kasi if you saturate the market, sobrang dami ng iPhone sa market, what will happen to its market value? It will devaluate. Bababa ng bababa ang value nito. So it will not be profitable for the business. Okay? And then there are risks. So sabi dito merong risks. Not all businesses are profitable. And when it comes to quantitative methods or quantitative analysis, we want to decrease the risk or decrease the chance that your business will go bankrupt. Okay? Okay, for example nga dito, kung if we are going to compute the risk, there is more chance pagdating sa crops na kikita ka. Kasi tignan nyo dito, if you combine this one, there's a 30% of high demand and then a 45% of medium demand. Combination of, pag inad natin to 75% chance nakikita yung business mo. But if we take a look at this, the low demand, meron pa ring 25 chance. Kaya nga pagdating sa pagtatanim ng palay, not necessarily kikita ka. Tama? Malulugi at malulugi ka at some point. And this is what we want to mitigate, yung risk or yung pagkalugi ng isang negosyo or ng isang business. Okay? And then we must eliminate the traditional, intuitive, and subjective basis on which management previously formulated decisions. Okay? So, pagdating sa business, akala natin, the more na ma-produce natin, tama, the more na tayo ay kikita. But if you take a look at this minimum efficiency scale, so the more you produce, dito sa first part ng graph, mas marami kang na-produce, dumataas yung output mo, yung cost mo, bumababa rin. Dito, pababa ng pababa siya habang tumataas yung output. Tama? Natural. By instinct, mas marami kang binili, mas mura mo siyang makukuha. Tama? Ganon din po sa negosyo. Pero hindi pwede. Hindi siya necessarily. Yung trend na ito, hindi siya magi-increase infinitely. Hindi porke tinataas mo yung output mo, bababa yung cost per unit mo. Dadating siya sa point na hindi na magbabago yung cost per unit mo, pero yung output mo ay tumataas. And at this point, dito sa critical point na ito, actually, producing more of your product will increase your cost per unit. So, hindi na to practical sa negosyo mo. Kasi marami kang na-produce, but your cost, also rises. Kaya ang gusto natin, we stay in this, orange zone, or yung tinatawag natin na economies of scale. Okay? And then what else? When it comes to farmers, yung mga uneducated farmers natin, pag hindi malaki yung kita nila, or yung yield ng kanilang crops, what will they do? They will increase the amount of fertilizer. But take a look at this graph, If you take a look at this graph, if we increase the fertilizer from 0 up to this point, sa point B, we will see an increase in, yield, or yung ani natin. But if you increase the fertilizer further, wala na siyang madadagdag na epekto sa yield natin or sa kita natin kasi constant na tayo eh. And at some point, pag nasobrahan na tayo sa fertilizer, yung sobrang dami ng fertilizer will actually cause the yield to decrease. Okay? Okay, so dito lang tayo pupunta sa point B, which is what we call the maximum efficiency. Increasing the fertilizers further will no longer aid in the increasing of the yield. So, hindi naman necessarily na pag nagdagdag ka ng madaming fertilizer ay lalaki yung kita mo. Kaya importante yung quantitative methods. Kasi fertilizers cost money. Tama? Pag gastos ka lang ng gastos at hindi mo naman alam yung epekto nito, possible na malugi ang iyong negosyo. So, ganun din dito. Hindi ka lang basta-basta mag-i-increase ng irrigation. You will take a look at the demand of the crop first before you make a financial decision. At ito yung mga aaralin natin sa quantitative analysis or quantitative methods. Okay? Next, what are the tools of quantitative methods or techniques na pwede nating gamitin? There are two types, the mathematical tools and then the statistical tools. So, mathematical tools are used in developing mathematical models. Basically, everything on this earth can now be explained using a mathematical model. So, what helped us during the time of the pandemic ng COVID-19, mathematical modeling helped us mitigate the damages of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kasi minodel natin, we will have differential equations as well as other mathematical equations to describe the behavior of the population during the pandemic. And this will help the government or other law enforcement agencies to develop policies that will help us mitigate COVID-19 or decrease. So, pwede rin nilang i-account dito yung mga variables such as vaccination, recovery rate, infection rate, and so on, so forth. For example, dito, we have the following data from the Gizmo market with quantity and cost measured in millions. We will try to make a model out of this data. So here we have the data of quantity, demand, price, and cost. Let's take a look what happens. If we increase the quantity of the production, for example, from 7.81 million, what happens to the price? The price decreases, right? Okay? Kasi nga, habang dumadami yung production mo, yung presyo niya pababa ng pababa. Parang pag nagbebenta ka ng kamatis, if the supply is high, kung maraming kamatis, mura mo lang siya mabibili. As well as with this gizmo market. And what will happen to the cost? If you take a look at here, yung cost natin, pataas siya ng pataas. So what we are going to do is try to find a relationship between the quantity and the demand price. Okay? So let's take a look at this Excel file. So dapat marunong kayong mag-Excel. Okay? Taking a look at the relationship of the demand price and the cost. Okay? Meron naman ditong function na madali lang. So let's first take a look at the graph. What is the relationship? As we increase, let's try a different graph. Relationship ng quantity and demand price. Let's take a look at the relationship of the quantity and the demand price. Okay, let's try to use a scatter graph. Okay, so what will happen? If you increase the quantity, the price decreases. So this actually means na pag mas marami ka bang nabebenta, mas marami kang kikitain. Not necessarily. Tama? Not necessarily madadagdagan yung iyong kita. Kasi nga bumababa siya ng bumababa. And if you take a look at the relationship of the demand price and the cost, makita natin? It is an opposite relationship. And this can all be explained using a mathematical model. Actually, merong approximation tong line na ito, which we will learn, or pwede natin siyang aralin pa sa mga susunod na discussion. Pwede nating aralin kung paano natin computein yung tinatawag natin na equation na nagde-describe nitong line na ito, nitong approximation na ito, using Excel. Pwede tayong hanapin, approximate natin yung formula nito. Kasi line lang naman to, di ba? Kung babalikan nyo yung tinatawag natin na high school math or yung algebra natin, using 2 points, pwede natin siyang kunin yung equation niya. So, by using these 2 points, that method, pwede nating malaman yung relationship ng demand price at saka ng quantity. Okay? And now, let's try to, based on the following data, tignan natin yung epekto ng pag-increase ng quantity. We are going to compute what we call the profit. Profit. Paano ba mag-compute ng profit? Remember, profit is revenue minus cost. So, computein muna natin yung benta and then i-minus natin yung cost natin. Okay? How do we compute the revenue or yung benta natin? Siyempre, we compute it by multiplying 7.81. So, ang nabenta natin ay 7.81 million. That's why we multiply it with 1 million. Multiply by the demand price. So, ang revenue natin for this quantity is 94 million. Okay? Continuing, makikita naman natin na pababa yung revenue. Next, we compute for the cost. What is the cost? So, sabi dun kanina, it is in millions. So, this is 60.025. 60.05. We multiply it by million. Okay? So, this is now our cost. Now, we compute our profit. Computing for the profit, we subtract the revenue and then the cost to get the following. So, for the first quantity, 7.81, our profit is 34 million. But if we continue increasing the quantity, it will actually lead to a loss in profit. So as you can see here, if we increase the quantity of production to 15.8 million, yung profit natin ay magne-negative na, which means malulugi na yung ating negosyo. And that is not what we want for our business. Okay? Nagigets? We are using math, to describe the relationship between variables and how they will affect each other in order for us to maximize the profits or maximize outputs sa mga decisions natin. Okay? Okay, so ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. This is a mathematical model that approximates the relationship of the demand price and then the quantity. So here we have Y. So yung Y natin dito ay yung ating demand price is equal to negative 0.7796x plus 17.478. we have here a negative sign to denote the negative relationship. Increasing the quantity will decrease the demand price using a math model, as well as this one. So y equals what? 5.0251x plus 20.162. So ano naman to? This is the relationship of the cost with the quantity produced. So increasing the quantity will increase also the cost. So hindi siya wise na increase yung ating cost or yung ating quantity. So the general approach to the development of a mathematical models of economic decisions can be outlined as follows. So first, we must formulate the problem. So in this case, gusto nating i-maximize yung profit. Pangalawa, pangatlo, develop the model, perform the analysis, and then use statistical tools. Okay? So statistics can be viewed as the application of the scientific model in the analysis of numerical data for the purpose of drawing inferences that are useful in making rational economic decisions. For example, this one, we have the formula for the classic profit or loss. So price per unit multiplied by the number of units sold minus the fixed cost plus cost per unit times units sold. What we want to do is bawasan natin to kasi ito yung bumabawas din sa ating profits. And we can use this formula to analyze problems such as this one. Okay? So Acme Widgets has recently expanded, now has 2.5 million in fixed costs. It must spend 1.5 to produce each of the 1 million widgets it will sell this year. The average selling price of its widgets is $5. So, gusto natin i-describe yung total profits natin. How do we compute the profits? We will multiply price per unit. What is price per unit? $5 times 1 million. So, ang revenue nila ay 5 million. Minus the fixed cost. Ilan yung fixed cost nila? Sabi dito, 2.5. So, minus 2.5 million and then plus 1.5 million. So, bali ang cost nila, it amounted to almost 4 million or to exactly 4 million, which then subtracted, we get a profit of 1 million. Okay? Okay, so there are basically two types of statistics, primary and secondary statistics. It just depends on the type of data being used. If we are using primary data, these are the type of data na ikaw mismo yung nakolekta. For example, data na ikaw yung nag-survey, ikaw yung nagbigay ng questionnaire, ikaw mismo yung nagtanong. Those are primary data. And when we say secondary data, these are the type of data that you collect via the internet, newspapers, what else, thesis, and other research articles. Okay? There are two types of statistics, the descriptive and then the inferential statistics. When we say descriptive statistics, taking a look at the root word, we're only just describing data. So this involves the collection, presentation, characterization of a set of data. Dinedescribe lang natin yung data. Using mainly the mean median mode, what else? The measures of dispersion. We are not doing any analysis yet. And when it comes to inferential statistics, pagdating sa inferential statistics, we are using the data to and analyze it in order for it to be used in a future decision making situations. Okay, gagamitin na natin yung data to predict what will happen in the future. Hindi lang tayo basta nag-stay sa pagde-describe ng data. So these are the two two classifications of statistics. Okay? Okay, let's move on to unit 2, which is data and data analysis. Okay, so dapat na-discuss yun to. So we have already discussed quantitative methods and techniques. Punta tayo sa data. By the end of this unit, you will be able to define what is data. Ano ba ang data? Different types of data, and then outline the data qualifications. Okay? So concept of data, what is data? Data refers to discrete pieces of factual information that are recorded and utilized for the purpose of analysis. When we say data, it is actually factual. When we say factual, we are sure that it is true, totoo. Okay, that's why chismis cannot be considered as data because we are not sure of it. Kung ang chismis ay totoo, hindi na chismis ang tawag natin doon. Ang tawag na natin doon ay data. Okay? The statistics that are compiled come from the raw information that is provided. The end product of data analysis is statistical information which includes both interpretation and presentation of data. This is the end goal of statistics, to interpret and to present data. Okay, so let's define raw data. What is raw data? Raw data is sometimes called the source data, atomic data, or primary data. It is data that has not been processed for use. Yung hindi pa nagagalaw. Basta lang nakolekta na data. An example for this one is the grades of BSIT students in MS-102 last year. As you can see, the data is jumbled. Hindi siya organized kasi kinolekta lang siya basta-basta. That's why we must organize the data into what we call an array. So what is an array? An array is an arrangement of observations according to their magnitude. Pwedeng papalaki or papaliit, that is called an array. So this one is the same set of data but now in an array. As you can see, we can easily make conclusions about the data. Okay? Pag tinanong ko kayo, ilan yung bagsak? No? Madali lang magbilang. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Or 51 ang bagsak sa MS-102. Okay? What are the types of data? The collection and interpretation of data is the focus of the field of statistics. We have two types of data, quantitative data or qualitative data. When we say quantitative data, these are data or measurements that are recorded on numerical scale that occurs naturally in the world. Basically, yung mga pwede nating lagyan ng numbers. Height, weight, number of girlfriends, and so on and so forth. And qualitative data are non-numeric, data na hindi numbers. For example, religion, mode of transportation, and then political views. These are two types. And then quantitative data can be classified into two more categories, which is the discrete and then the continuous data. When we say discrete data, these are data that can be counted. For example, if you were to survey the number of children of people, ilan ba yung anak nila? There can only be a limited amount of answers. Tama? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children, and so on and so forth. I can say right now that there are no people na aabot ng 100 plus ang kanilang anak. So meaning, bilang mo lang yung positive answers. What else? Yung number of children, number of cars, so on and so forth. Ang kabaliktaran niya, yung tinatawag natin na continuous. When we say continuous data, the number of possible answers is infinite, such as weight. When we say weight, iba-iba yung timbang na pwedeng maisagot, tama? We have 31.5, 31.2, 31.1. There are infinitely many numbers that you can answer sa continuous. Okay? So basically, one difference of discrete and continuous. Sa continuous, we have fractions and decimal points. If you are to survey, for example, sa discrete, ilan ba yung anak mo? You can't answer 1.5. Tama? Kasi wala namang 1.5 na anak. Kaya ang number of children ay hindi siya counted as continuous. It is a discrete type of data. So here are some other examples of discrete and continuous data. Number of eggs in the basket, etc. Sa continuous naman, weight, wind speed, water temp, volts, and so on and so forth. Okay? And then sometimes continuous data are summarized in tables with each interval summary containing the number of data items in that interval. Okay? Okay, an example, no? Mass of 56 ASCOT students. What else? It can also be represented using a line graph. Okay? So this is our introduction. So unit 1, unit 2 pa lang to ng ating module. So I have already provided you with the link. Ibigay ko tong link na ito sa ating Google Classroom, and then we have a quiz and then a homework. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you understood something. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me within the said hours. Thank you.